Hi, welcome to PHK News. My name is Rick, and I'll be your host tonight. We'll be doing an educational segment on the 7 countries of the world and their states, nations, regimes, and governments. Let's pass it off to Jim in the U.S.
Thanks, Rick. Happy to participate in this educational segment for all of our viewers. Now, here in the U.S., we love democracy. It's what our entire governmental system is based on. We like to make sure that everyone is represented in our federal system. It's what keeps our nation together. Well, that and our strong feelings of freedom. Some of the key institutions that make up our state are a strong federal government with 3 branches: executive, legislative, and judicial. The executive branch houses many important institutions, such as the presidency and the federal bureaucracy, which encompasses 15 different cabinet departments, independent executive agencies, regulatory commissions, and government corporations. The legislative branch supports a bicameral legislature with an upper house, the Senate, and a lower house, which is the House of Representatives. The Senate provides equal representation in Congress, with 2 spots allotted to every state, while the House of Representatives makes sure to account for proportional representation, with each state earning spots based on its population. Last but not least, our judicial branch houses an independent Supreme Court supported by the federal and state court systems. Our country's government is currently under the Trump administration, boasting a Republican-led executive branch, a Democratic House of Representatives, and a Republican-led Senate. Now that's all I have for the U.S. Now on to Emma in the U.K. Y'all come back now, you hear?
Thanks so much, Jim. Glad to be here tonight. Now, in the UK, we're a little bit more complicated than the US in terms of our nation and national identity. Essentially, we are made up of 4 different national identities: England, Northern Ireland, Scotland, and Wales, each bringing their own unique flavor to the UK. England makes up the largest part of the UK, both population-wise and geographically. Because of this, they also hold the most, if not disproportional, amount of political power in the UK. Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland all have their own national flags, and while English is spoken universally throughout the UK, each of these other 3 countries have their own languages. The whole of the UK is held together by the strong loyalty to the royal family, as well as democracy. Now, for the state's institutions. Our head of state is the Queen, who is currently Queen Elizabeth II, and our head of government is the Prime Minister, who has most of the actual executive power. The legislature is bicameral, the 2 houses being the House of Commons and the House of Lords. Similar to the relationship between the Prime Minister and the Queen, the House of Commons holds most of the power in the legislative structure, while the House of Lords is mostly ornamental and traditional. Our government is headed by Prime Minister Theresa May, who also leads the majority party in Parliament, the Conservatives. Our regime is held together by an unwritten constitution that is colloquially referred to as the Constitution of the Crown, which is a collection of documents, laws, and customs. It lays out our government, which is run in a parliamentary democracy style, as well as a classic monarchy. That's all I have for the UK. Now, on to Boris Mikolov. Cheerio, lads!
Thanks, Emma. Much appreciated. Just happy to help educate the viewers participating in this helpful segment. Here in Russia, we run an illiberal democracy with a semi-presidential republic for our regime. Our government is currently run by President Vladimir Putin and our Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev. Strong ties to the motherland, familial bonds, and religion, specifically the Russian Orthodox Church, hold the nation together. Some of the institutions of our state that act as the glue for our society are our centralized federal system, a dual executive branch including a president by direct election and the Prime Minister appointed by the president, a bicameral legislature, and independent constitutional court. That's all that I have for Russia, brother. Now I'm going to pass it off to Pablo Guillermo. To your health, comrade. Gracias, mi amigo Boris. My name is Pablo Guillermo, and I'm here to talk to you about Mexico. Here in Mexico's nation, we have a heavy emphasis on family ties, with many of our residents here having very large families. Nearly everyone in our country speaks a common language, Spanish, and share a mostly common religion, Catholicism. Aside from our cultural ties, we also have many federal institutions in place that hold the state together. For example, we have a bicameral legislature with an upper house, the Senate, and the lower house, the Chamber of Deputies. We elect our president via direct election from the people every 6 years with a non-renewable term through a multi-party system. We have an independent federal and state court system, each with justices appointed by the president and confirmed by the Senate. The government is headed by current president Enrique Peña Nieto of the PRI party. Our regime is a democratic republic. Now on to my friend Mei Ling. Adios, my friends.
Thanks, Pablo. Happy to participate in this educational segment for all our viewers. Now, here in China, we have a communist regime that is guided by our wise countrymen of the Chinese Communist Party, the CCP. Our unitarian state consists of 5 regions that is headed by a premier, who is our head of state, and a president, who heads the government. The current Chinese government is run under Premier Li Keqiang and President Xi Jinping. These 2 strong leaders are elected by the legislature with approval from CCP leadership. Our state's legislative branch is made up of a unicameral legislature that is known as the National People's Congress. Our judiciary system consists of a nationwide system of people's courts that are under the guidance of the CCP. Another substantial institution of our state is the Central Military Commission, which is headed by our president. The organization commands and controls our armed forces and national police. Our great nation is characterized by a very traditional agrarian culture with a strong sense of nationalism. Our population includes 56 ethnic groups, with majority being Han Chinese. That's all that I have for China. On to Mabuku in Nigeria. Xie.
Thanks so much, May. Happy to participate in this educational segment for all of our viewers. Now, here in Nigeria, our regime is an illiberal democracy, with a U.S.-style presidential system currently under the government of Muhammadu Buhari of the All Progressive Congress Party. Our state operates a federal system that consists of 36 states plus our federal capital territory. In addition, our legislative branch consists of 2 houses, the House of Representatives and the Senate. The House is comprised of 360 members who are elected from single-member districts, while the Senate has 109 members with 3 from each state, and 1 from the federal capital territory. The judiciary system here is made up of local, state, and federal courts that are headed by the Supreme Court and Federal Court of Appeals. Our nation is home to over 400 different ethnic groups that each have their own distinct customs and languages. However, this has unfortunately facilitated division and conflict amongst our countrymen. Additionally, the dominant Christian and Islamic faiths also create a divide between our people. That's all that I have for Nigeria. Now on to Muhammad in Iran. Until next time.
Much appreciated, Mabuku. Here in Iran, our nation is held together by our common religion, Islam. Although there is a divide between the Sunni and the Shia, we make it work. Approximately half of our population is Persian, and the other half composed of a melting pot of other peoples. For our state, we are a highly centralized Unitarian state. There are 4 bodies that have broad use of executive, judicial, and legislative powers that supersede all other bodies in our country. These are the Supreme Leader, who is the cleric and holds ultimate power in the country, the Guardian Council, the Assembly of Religious Experts, and the Expediency Council. For our executive branch, we have our head of state, the Supreme Leader, and the head of government, the President, who is voted by the general electorate. For our legislative branch, we have a unicameral legislator known as the Majlis, whose bills and laws must be approved by the Guardian Council. Lastly, our judicial branch is held by the Chief Justice, who is another cleric appointed by the Supreme Leader. Although the court is independent, the Supreme Leader and the Guardian Council have the final say in interpreting the law. Our current president is Hassan Rouhani. Our regime is a mixture of democracy and theocracy. That's all I have for now. Peace be with you, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you all enjoyed our educational segment tonight. I hope you learned more about the world and everyone around you. Have a good night, everyone.